episode. What's this? Episode 29 of the Yeah Man Yeah podcast. Um, Guys, we appreciate your patience. Those who have been loyal, you know, what do you call it? Audiences that have been coming from Instagram. Now we join. This has been long overdue. We've been wanting to do this. We've been wanting to come to the YouTube world, and it just so happened that they just had created this new feature where we're able to do this simultaneously. And and now we're in the game. Now we're gonna be looking to grow. But man, anyway, how you feeling, Jazz? How you feeling on your side? I love the jacket. I love the setup. I love the Puerto Rican. I remember when you first told me you was getting your buttons, man. But yeah, man. What is? Oh man, I let that get up, man. Explain to the people what you got on, man. Explain to the people what
Well,
you
it's
got on,
it's,
man.
on, it's only fitting for the start of Black History Month.
Yes.
We gotta represent. So, um, this is Black Panther
Mm,
with
mm.
the Black Panther, the actual militia, uh, beret.
I love it. I love it.
This is this is sort of like the Black Panthers, but this is the Young Lords Party, which was a Puerto Rican like Black Panther in New York.
Mm,
Matter of
mm,
fact,
mm.
Carmelo's dad was a Young Lord.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
of course, this is
Dope.
you know, but
Yes,
you
yes,
gotta keep it hood.
indeed.
I keep it hood.
Oh man, boys in the hood. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it, man.
I love your jacket too. Did you make that one?
Yeah, I made this one. I made this one in 2020. This is the good times.
I was about to say I look like the.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. And got the JJ on the back. You know what I mean? The
Tip of
art,
the nails.
the artist, and being though that my last name is Evans, I've always gotten jokes about me being
Oh, one
and
of the
then
good time kids.
yes, yes, and but I was it's crazy because right when I wore this, you've seen me painting in the video with wearing this, and I made sure I put this painting on the left chest part area. But I just seen a video with Eddie Murphy because they've been doing promo and press for the You People movie,
Mhm.
and he talked about how you know the duplicate of this painting sold for I think 16 million. And he also said that was a duplicate. He said, but he has the real one because when Marvin Gaye had passed away, uh, Marvin Gaye had owned this painting, and he immediately paid for the painting 50K when for Marvin Gaye's estates. He paid 50K for the painting, the original painting. So if the duplicate of the painting or the duplicate was 16 million, you can imagine what the original painting is. And I forgot the host that was interviewing him. He said, "Oh man, so you got that bank, you got that money." He was like, "Yeah," but it's important to collect art, because he bought that for 50K. He pretty much probably bought it because of the history years ago when Marvin Gaye passed, and for that to appreciate value or increase in value over time. That says a lot, and I'm just glad that I've kind of like this is something that now I didn't create this piece. I didn't create that. This is just me wearing this, but a lot of people complimented me on this. So a lot of people said, "Yo, I love your work, but yo, that JJ one that you made, dope." So when I seen that, I was just like, "Yeah, yeah, this is dope, man." You know what I mean? Just to you know um, be a part of that in some way by allowing the art to be preserved or just because you got to think of it like these kids nowadays they not probably watching that show unless we kind of share with them.
Yeah,
Hey,
as a matter of fact, I don't even think that show is even available for.
right?
That what's happening. Even All in the Family.
Amen. You
Amen.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Those
yeah.
shows. Of course, you can still watch A Different World.
Hmm.
Maybe some of those shows in the '90s. Sister, Moesha.
Hmm.
But they didn't. I mean, those shows were good, but they didn't have the heaviness of some of those topics that was in.
Yes,
You know what I mean? Like,
yes, yes, yes,
you
yes.
think about from when Penny was getting burnt with the iron.
Mm,
Remember that?
yeah, I remember that. Janet
You know,
Jackson character,
Janet
right?
Jackson, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
To actually, you know what? Now I think about it, no, it was a couple heavy episodes on like Family Matters, or
Yeah.
even Fresh Prince. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
what is black? Remember they were saying Carlton really wasn't black because he
mm.
came up privileged.
Yep,
You know what I mean?
yep.
But Will was because he was
From Philly.
from Philly, and just maybe he wasn't as eloquent as Carlton or as polished as Carlton. But just because just like us, we're no different from we were born and raised in Baltimore. But we're no different from a black man that was raised in Beverly Hills. You're still black. It's just
Mm.
you have a different experience, but you're still black.
And, to chime in on that, I went to Water for Chocolate today. That's one of my favorite restaurants in Baltimore, black owned. Shout out to Sean. He's from Brooklyn, but he had worked for Restaurant, I don't, WWE, Restaurant World Federation. He's done stuff with. He opened up, well, he cooked in a lot of restaurants, but he started his own restaurant here in Baltimore, and he's also have my. He commissioned me to make some Stan Smiths, and it's still on display inside the restaurant. Uh, he's doing really, really good for himself. But I've seen him today, and one of the things I do remember when he had commissioned me to make the sneakers was that he felt like he failed his son. He said that because he was like, "Yo, like, I set my kids up for all these things, and I don't want them to. They don't need to. They don't. I don't want them to have to want for anything, and they don't." He said, "But one thing I couldn't prepare my son for was being a black man that had to face racism, right?" And today I seen him, and I was like, "Yo, dog," because he got the beard going on. I think he's about to turn. He's in his 50s. Don't even look it, dog. I said, "Yo, what's your secret, dog? Because when I get like you, when I get older, I want to be like. I want to have that." He said, "Man, he said just drink your water and fight racism." I said, and I was like, "Okay, you know what I mean?" He said, "Just drink your water and fight racism. That's how you kind of like." So I was like, "Wow." So yeah, man. I think that what you just said was definitely something that reminded me of the conversation that I had with him about how no matter what, because granted, his son, he hasn't, of course, grew up how we grew up. So he's just thinking that, but he don't want those circumstances to just flat out smack him in the face of the people who we know, what I mean, kind of like, what I'm saying, just don't want to be uh, or not friendly. You know what I mean? Not because we know how to evade. We had dealt with a lot of stuff in Phoenix, Arizona. When we were out there, and funny enough,
Even
some
Baltimore.
and Baltimore. And funny enough, we either sometimes had diffused the situation with humor, or we kind of like, as you said, I blacked out a few times. I don't remember, but we had went and out, into that mode where it needed to be. Um, and but we still had a taste of two different worlds. We were already prepared for the world of somewhat of racism. You know what I mean? Even growing up in a predominantly black city. You know what I'm saying? Going to those other spots like
Well,
Phoenix or for me.
but that's kind of where we differ, because for a large portion, I actually grew up in the county where it's predominantly white.
Well, wow, wow, that's right.
Um,
I forgot.
so growing up, like I hung around a lot of white people, but as well as black people. Where I lived, there was a lot of black people.
Yeah.
But it was just I had white friends, and I would get called a nigger, and like one of my best friends, his uncle was a stone cold skinhead. You know what I'm saying? But
Wow.
but I always got that thing from like I guess like racist people like you're the only one, only one. You know what I'm saying?
Not the pen. Where the pen come from? You're the only one. You're
You're the only
the.
one.
uh,
But so the thing that's and I was just talking to somebody about this earlier, bro. Like, of course, I have to go there, but you're in the Bible, it says that, love covers up a multitude of sins.
mm,
Out of these, the greatest is love. So love overpowers hate, bro. You know what I mean? Even if you hate me, as long as I love you, like eventually that love will wear you down.
mm,
Do you have
mm,
no choice but to not hate me? You know what I mean? I won't say you will come to love me, but you won't hate me.
mm,
You know what I'm saying?
mm,
And
yeah.
if you do, then like you really hate me. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Because if I love the as much as I'm pouring in, no matter how much you hate me, if I'm just showing you love, which I think is what kind of the route Martin Luther King kind of went with not being violent. I love my people so much, I'm not going to lash out and become this angry black man. Instead, I'm going to keep preaching love and keep showing love by resisting wanting to punch you in the face for calling me a nigger or throwing a rock at my face. And the world's going to see that. The world's going to see that I'm just showing love. All we are asking for in this country is a fair shake. Just give us some love, dog.
mm,
You know what I
mm.
mean? And I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Just
it give us some love, not just 1 month. You know what I mean? Give us some love.
yeah, just give us some love, dog.
Yeah,
Give us
yeah,
some love, dog. I mean,
yeah.
and especially with all this, especially the past like week or two with the Tyree Nichols
Tyree Nichols,
situation,
rest in
and
peace. Yeah,
uh, and man, you know, I haven't even watched the video, bro,
me
because
neither. Me neither, bro.
I
Yeah.
just I can't even let that like sit in my soul.
Mhm, mhm,
Just like
mhm,
I never watched the George Floyd video either.
mhm,
You
mhm.
know what I mean? It just stuff
And
like that.
now they had surfaced something. It was something that had resurfaced of saying talking about like when black men watch that or black people watch, when we watch anything like that, we are identifying ourselves with that, and that kind of like, brings, what I'm saying, the related piece, and that's not good for the mental health because you kind of like put yourself in that person's shoes of what would I have done or could I have done this because you're seeing a person that looks like you, a person that you love, your peer, you're seeing that person on the screen, and it's traumatizing, bro. And you can only imagine if that was your cousin or that was your brother or if that was anybody. It's like then you start to, like you said, like, nah, I can't, because, you know, man, it's just I got chills in my body even just thinking about that. Because I always think about when I think about these situations, I think about the situation that you and I and Wayne were in July the 8th of 2005. People always say, "Yeah, Dad, you be doing dates," and I be doing dates a lot because a lot of the dates that I kind of identify with, it was always either something that was traumatic or something that left the like and in that moment where July when we got pulled over, and I think that was the same week that firearms was bought. You know what I mean? Because Phoenix, there's own law is different. You can carry arms. My crazy self brung a half a pound to the club, had that in the trunk, and regardless or not, we were, you know, free spirited hippies, cowboys, whatever you want to call us. But to the authorities, we looked like we were what it was. I had on the Blue Hill Avenue shirt with the two Glocks on the side. I think Wayne had something on. We all just fit the
I
description.
had the Army fatigue belly shirt.
Yep, yep. With the Glock in the back. With shout out to Hassan. He follows me on IG. I'm connected with him a few times, but yeah, he had the Glock pointing with the Desert Eagle.
You remember?
And
You remember what it said on the bottom?
what did it say on the bottom? I forgot.
It said, "Fuck the police. That's how I treat them."
That's right, dog. Oh, dog. Yeah. Yeah. And then Wayne had on the Joe Pesci shirt, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right? Did he have on the Joe Pesci
I
shirt?
don't remember, bro.
I don't remember neither. But I'm identifying with that moment um, because every time I think about these situations where these black men are being murdered, because Doug, like I said, and this is new to our YouTube viewers, you know, I guess I might have to explain the story again just for the sake of this new platform that we're on. But we got pulled over and they took us out individually, starting with Wayne and then started with me. And then Wayne, he had a firearm on him. And then when we were sitting on the curb, they got to Jazz, and Jazz gets out the car, and he was already kind of like, as anybody would be, even then, kind of paranoid. So I knew what he was trying to do. He was trying to make them aware and make it easier on them because they looked like they was nervous because it was three black men in the car. So he was like, and that energy, and I'm gonna use this mug as a reference. So Jazz kind of had his, we literally had got the Glocks that week, I believe. So Jazz still had his papers on him, and Jazz had the papers in one hand, and he had the Glock like this in the other hand, and he gets out the car like this. He was like, "Hey guys, I just want to let y'all know that it did all." And these guys, these cops, dog, they would look like something out of GTA. They had the Maricopa County. That's what DMX referenced a lot because DMX lived in Scottsdale, Arizona, and DMX always talk about how he would get pulled over numerous occasions. He would get annoyed because Scottsdale, Arizona is one of the richest parts of Arizona, and they're racist out there. So when they see a group of black guys with a Latina female, Melissa, they would just, they grew suspicious. So anyway, when Jazz hops out and he's like, "Yeah, I just got this," they pull out the firearms. He was like, "Get the fuck down, get the fuck down." But can you imagine if that would have happened in today's world? You know what would have happened.
But
So
bro,
I can only, yeah, go ahead.
but
I'm
see,
sorry.
I can't even say that, bro, because we forget that you know years prior to that was Rodney King.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this type of stuff has
It
always happened.
it
It's
always
just
happened,
now, it's just
but it's
now
it's
that
being captured more.
yeah, it's being captured
Yeah.
more because everybody's connected through these social media accounts and the internet. Now you're getting it more.
But
But this
what
has
do you feel like
happened.
what do you feel like had stopped them from putting bullets in your flesh that day?
God, bro.
See, I was expecting you. Yes, yes,
God, bro.
dog.
It wasn't written for me to go out like that at that time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just as simple as that. You
Yes.
know, but that's how I've always kind of lived my life. You know what I mean? Just what's written for me will be. It just happens to play out how it plays out. Now, if I'd have died, then that was how it was meant.
Mm, mm.
I mean, if I'm dead, I can't do anything about it. I'm dead.
Right, right, right.
You
Yeah,
know.
man. Yeah, and then that whole incident was wild because even after that they tried to persuade Melissa to uh, drop all the charges on me. Remember what they were saying when they put up when we was on the curb? Okay, who has the dope? And that's before they even searched the car.
Mhm.
They wrongfully searched the car. I mean, wrongfully everything was backwards
Actually,
automatically.
no, it wasn't wrongfully because you opened the door. Everybody was, the car smelled like weed, so that's probable cause.
And they
You
had
know,
the windshield was cracked. Melissa windshield was cracked. So that's why they pulled us
you
over
wanna
because
know
she had
what
a
I
cracked
always
windshield.
thought was wild though? Whenever I think about that time, I just think about the car in front of us. You remember the car in front of us?
I don't.
It was like a drop top '63 Chevy. I mean, cats just out the. I mean, they hanging out, banging. You know what I mean? Just throwing up the set, the whole nine. And I'm
Mm,
just thinking, damn, these niggas is wow. We get pulled over though.
mm.
They don't get pulled over. We get pulled over. I don't know.
Mm.
No,
But I
but
think that that
could
was
it
that.
be? Could it
What,
be
what,
though? It was a car full of black people, and that's kind of the norm, I guess. Versus three guys and a Latina, and I think she had a Nissan and a
mhm,
Nissan. Kind of windows tinted, kind of low key,
with a crack windshield.
right? And maybe that was it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
man. But
but that's why I can't. When I think about cops, like I always think back to any interaction I've had with a cop, and I'm like, yo, it could have went left, but it didn't.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
they're not all bad. You
So,
know,
but it was same with me.
some
Like it was when I was 16 years old. My mother always said like, "Yo, wherever you are, like if it's past 12, stay where you are." And because I don't want you, you know what I mean? I don't want nothing happening to you. It was this one night I was kicking with my homeboys, Derek, Brian, Glenn, and Daryl, and we would, they lived near Gorsuch, right around the corner from Lake Clifton. And we were all like boxing. We put on the boxing gloves and, we were boxing. And me and Brian, Bruce Banner, what I mean? We just got reconnected on IG. But him and we decided to box. And he kind of like, it was the porch was right here. And before, right when I put the gloves on, he immediately went straight after me. And I fell, I fell over the next porch. But I said, yo, you kind of sneak me and all that. So I got heated. You know how I can get. So at that point, Derek stepped in. He was like, nah, man, like he wanted me to leave because I vein popping out my neck, all that other stuff, and it was already late at night. So I said, man, forget this, and they know how I roll. So I slammed the gloves, put the joint on there, and then I went. I was going home, and in the midst of me walking home, I said, yo, why am I doing this, dog? But I had natural ways where I would do things, and I'm gonna get to that in a minute. So I'm walking in the cutways of near back to Gorsuch, and I finally get towards Kirk Avenue near Homewood. And at the time in the '90s, the Baltimore Murderland mural was. I passed that joint every time I would go
okay,
to
yeah,
Derek House. It was like right there,
mhm.
and as I'm passing that, I had on my yellow iceberg shirt. I had on my khakis. I had a string that was tied up to my khakis because I didn't have a belt, and I had
Damn,
on my
so
butters.
you was like in like what 10th, 11th grade?
Yep, yep, yep.
Wow.
And as I'm walking, I'm like seeing you. It's like a movie. You ever see The Professional with Leon the Professional? And remember when he was walking out of like the garage it was, and he seen that light as he was about to exit, finally about to make his escape, and then all of a sudden the camera kind of like it's a POV, and he kind of like falls because the cop Gary Oldman, played by Gary Oldman, he
Right.
shoots him down. I felt like I was almost close to feet away from the bottom of Murder Line Mural. I was almost close to North Avenue, which is the busiest street. At any given time, it's always a busy street. And did you know somebody supposedly had called in because it looked like I had a firearm on me? I purposely would walk, and people used to tell me that all the time. It's some of my peers that would tell you that know me. They say, "Yo, for some reason, yo, you always just walk like you had a gun or something like that." And I didn't know that at the time. And my one of my previous girls I used to date, she used to always just say like, "Yo, I don't like your walk. You need to switch your walk." And I didn't know. I'm like, "What you talking about? I walk regular." Now I don't even walk like that. But I wish I would have documented how that walk was, right? But anyway, these knockers had came out and they pulled up on me, and they said, "Hey, it was a report saying that somebody in the area had a firearm, and you fit the description." And I'm like close to North Avenue at this point, so they kind of like stripped me down. They took the string, they loosened it up. My khakis had they was already baggy, fell down to my ankles, and they took my underwear down, kind of searched to see if I had any drugs, and and while they're doing this, the other cop had the gun in my face. I'm 16, dog. He had the gun straight to my in the middle of my temple. He had it to my face, and I was like. I felt so violated. And he was like, and they said, "Well, you're clean. You're good to go. Thanks for your cooperation." And while my ankles and while my manhood was all hanging out, and cause is like, you know how it is when the knockers and anything, by make a scene. I'm just looking like, yo, you know what I mean? I pulled my pants up, kept moving. But I was also thankful because when that Glock was pointed to my head, and it was the knockers, so I'm thinking that they didn't have any regular cop uniform on. So, and as you know, if you look at We Own the City, you look at it, it's funny enough. If y'all look at the first episode where John Berthold's character went into that community, that was right around the corner for where the cop pulled a gun out of my face, white cop, and if and it might have been one of the people from the because they were looking for guns. My cousin Mama, God rest her soul, rest in peace. He would always tell me how he would get stopped by cops, and they would let him go because they would just be looking for guns. And if they can collect guns, they'll let you go. Why do they want to collect guns? Because in whatever,
Right,
and this is
use
just
it
in
to do
Baltimore.
crimes. Yeah. That matter of fact, that's how Tupac ended up getting off shooting those two cops because they grabbed two guns from the evidence to, kill somebody, you know,
Mm,
black,
mm,
and they were
mm,
messing with the black man. He shot him.
mm,
But yeah,
mm.
man, it's funny you bring up the knockers though because man, they terrorized the neighborhood, bro.
I got so many stories with the knocker
Me
show.
too, dog. They would terrorize the neighborhood. As a matter of fact, I prefer a regular cop with a uniform.
But we talk about Baltimore, ladies and gentlemen. Baltimore, it's like, and I don't know. We've been to a few other cities. So, in Texas, do they have any knockers in Texas, Jazz?
Well, bro, well,
GT Gun Task Force.
well. See, the thing is, I couldn't speak to that because you gotta keep in mind when we was in Baltimore, we was young coming up, so we was
Right.
in them neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We was around them neighborhoods. Where I
Yeah.
live at now, it's very quiet, very peaceful.
Mm.
I rarely see cops. And
Okay.
when I do see cops, because I'm in a Prius, they ain't even tripping. You know what I mean? Seriously, bro.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
hey, but,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
so life is very very different now. In
Man, that's
Phoenix,
awesome.
in Phoenix, we was out there, we was in the
Mm.
streets.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
I don't recall seeing any knockers though.
No, no, I don't. No, and when I was in Spokane, Washington, no knockers. I think that was just more so because you got to think of Baltimore is different from these. They don't have a crime. It was real people, but yeah, man. Yeah, I guess that's probably the knockers, and I guess we can. After this was, I remember I had my warrants still, and I still was coming to Baltimore. I still was doing what I was doing, and this is at the Phoenix, Arizona trip. It was like in 2007, and I was shooting my first music video with Young Hom, rest in peace. D Hom. That video is on my YouTube. If you look at YouTube and you search Young Hom and D Hom, he was from Old York Road, and I remember the same area where Tupac lived at, and I was shooting a video there in that area, and we finished the video and everything. It was like we started at noon, and we finished at 3 p.m. and then knockers pulled up because there's a lot of us on the porch. And keep in mind, I still have my warrant. So I was like, and they say, hey, man, and I purposely took my camera because I already had it there, and I opened it and I started filming them, right? And they didn't know I was filming them at first, but I said maybe I could use this for the music video as B-roll. That was a bad idea, dog. Yo, they had noticed that I was filming. They said, yo, you cameraman, come down. I said, oh shit. So I'm like, dang, man, like I'm not trying to like, you know what I mean, be on the radar because I still have this warrant that I haven't checked in. He said, hey man, listen, I want you to take that tape out. So all right, cool. He said, all right, tape out. Okay, cool. He said, no, I don't want it. I don't want it. What I want you to do is I want you to take that tape and throw it over the roof. He said, and if it drops, you coming down with us. You know what I mean? And sad to say, you ain't just gonna be a regular charge. That's what he told me. If I take you in, you're gonna be in for a minute. I'm like, what could have been something that me just having the camera, what could it have been? So you can imagine my heart was racing. I was hoping that I really and then so I took the tape. Oh man, dog, I got chills in my body even thinking about this, man. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I've already was on the run for those years, as you know, and I was like, all right, took the tape, threw that joint, and it just had went over the joint. And he again, what is this with this thanks for your cooperation? That type of thing. He said, thanks for your cooperation. You know what I mean? He said, you lucky I still want to take you in. You know what I mean? I'm like, he don't even know I got a warrant. You know what I'm saying? And they was like, yo, please don't tell us after they left, they was like, yo, the harm was like, yo, please don't tell me that was a tape that we shot majority of it. I said, yeah, we gotta shoot it again. So we had to shoot it again. And when we shot it, when we filmed it again, I made sure I got more of the people that were there. And this guy, Cornbread, he was a Crip. Um, I captured him. And I feel like right when the video was released, before the video was released, the guy, Cornbread, got killed. So he wasn't there in the beginning because it was the morning time and the noon times, but he got there later on. So maybe that was probably the reason because had I would have left at 3 p.m., he wouldn't have been able to be in the music video. So yeah, man, and it was weird too because it was a Power that was there and it was a Crip that was there. The Power, but they wasn't in the same shots. The Power was inside the alley shot with Young Han, and then the Crip was walking through. But that was when the gangs was shown heavy in Baltimore, and when I came back. But it's funny too because when I didn't know about all the gang stuff until I came over the West Coast, and you was telling me that, Keo, you might want to switch the lingo up because you just got to be more mindful of being over here on the West Coast that you can't say this, you can't say that. But oh man, whew, I got so many stories. Luckily, I did that because I'll explain that another time. About the because and me knowing about that prepped me for what was to come to Baltimore because man, me switching my lingo up, man, yeah, I might as well say it. I'm gonna be quick. I remember I was looking out the blinds to, and when my mother used to stay in Sedonia, she moved to Sedonia, and I seen this girl with gray sweatpants. Oof, she was fine, dog. So I heard her put my clothes on, try to run outside to see her. And I put on my Scarface shoes that I made in Phoenix, and I put on my black pants, my Candyman shirt, that had a red honey underneath. And I put on my Boston red B hat because, as you know, in Phoenix, they didn't have Baltimore hats at the time. So we would wear Boston hats to represent the B to kind of like represent Baltimore. Goes up the street. I'm looking for the girl. I don't see the girl. Sees this uh, blood, you know what I mean, walking down. I know he was a blood, but I seen his blood walking with a dope dealer jacket. Some of the jacket that you got on, but it was black. We call those dope dealer jackets. Well, back in the day, we called them dope dealer jackets. He had a Cincinnati hat, but he had a permanent marker scratched out of the Cincinnati hat. It was scratched out, and he walking towards me, and I'm moving this way. He walking straight towards me. He's like, "Yo, what's popping?" I said, "Yeah, what's popping? G, what's good?" He's like, "Nah, yo, what's popping?" And then he was going like he was like kind of like about to be snug at his dip. I said, "Yo, like what's popping, dog?" Like I said, "What's popping? What's good?" But I already knew what he was doing because you schooled me when I went to Phoenix. You was like, "Yo, when people do this, they G checking you, they who banging." I already knew. I said, "Yo, something's up." I seen this hat. I said, I already know what it is." I said, "Yo, what's popping?" You know what I mean? What's good? I'm from East Baltimore. What's good? And he's looking me up and down as he was like this. He looked me up and down. He said, "Yo," he said, "where you get them kicks from?" Like he's about to run me up. He's like, yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, I made him." Right? When he said, when I said I made him, he kind of like, "You made him?" He said, "Damn, yo, you an artist, yo?" He said, "Yo, where you about to go to?" I said, "I was about to go to the store." He said, "Well, yo," he said, "you shouldn't go up there because," he said, "something about the blunts be stale. Let's walk to Jimmy's." So I said, "Dang, I wasn't gonna go to the store. I was looking for Shorty."
Mm.
So I said, "All right, bet." You know what I mean? Walk with him. He said, "Yo," he said, "Yo, before we go on the main street, I gotta show you something." He said, "Yo, and I remember this like it was yesterday." He said, "I'm from Fulton Homicide. I'm a Fulton Homicide Pyru. I'm a bounty in my squad. Our slogan is if you." And he showed me a 20. It was a wood grain, chrome. You know what I mean? I think it was a 25. Or it was you know what I mean? And he was like, our slogan is if you don't know your shit, we blow your shit. It don't matter who it is. He said, yo, I G check you, but yo, I was about to,
About to do
and I said,
about to do you.
what the fuck, yo? But guess what? When I talked to you in 2004, and you was like, hey, yo, look, and I had to learn. I went, and then I was like, man, what you ass talking about? I might not even meet nobody. Man, we met every type of,
Right.
we met blood, we met about the locals, we met everything you can name in Phoenix, right? We came across, but they were so caught onto our accent. They were so caught on. They just wanted to kick it. Luckily, the only crazy incident that we had experienced when we was at the Jack in the Box, and the Crip dude had we was I don't want to say that word, but we had him red, and start. I guess he seen us. He was like trying to like do what he do. Remember he shot the drive through. When you think about these stories now, and we ain't even budge. We just look at it like unimpressed. He shot the drive-through menu box, y'all. And I mean, we were feet away. I mean, everybody else, they about to scare the man. Jazz was just like, we from Baltimore, dog. Ain't nobody worried about this shit, man. You want to shoot the drive-through menu box up. And he said, on a crib, man. I'm doing this on the other man. And then eventually walked to the car. We walked to the car. We walked to the car. We was like, all right, let's get out of here. And then that's when the police came. And ladies and gentlemen, I still had warrants in Baltimore. So I was like, that's the only reason why we was like hesitant to leave. Because Jazz is always trying to be protective of me, not necessarily, getting caught out there to get extradited from Phoenix to Baltimore. But yeah, man, so many stories, y'all.
So
But
many stories. But you know what? You know how I actually had to learn this when I first came out to Phoenix. Um, because growing up, there was no blood or crip. There was no
it
gang bang. It
wasn't
was just
neighborhoods.
right. It was neighborhood.
Neighborhoods.
If you was from Greenmount, you beef with cats from Old York. If you was from
Yep.
McCabe, you was beefing with the cats over in Sedonia or whatever.
Yep.
So, now I'll never forget it, bro. I was on my way to work, and typically I would either ride my bike or I would take the bus, or sometimes I walk. This day I took the bus. I'll never forget it, bro. I had on remember this throwbacks was heavy back then,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a gang of them,
You did.
and I had on the blue Los Angeles
Los
Lakers
Angeles.
Kobe,
I remember that one. I remember that
right?
one.
And I remember hopping on the bus, and I got I'm listening to my music, and like when the song like fades off and goes into another song, so you can kind of hear what's going on. I'm hearing cats like, yeah, man, yo, I ate sleepers. I'm like, fuck they talking about? I put pause on it. I hear a guy go, man, y'all hating. They like, no, man, we gonna knock his ass out, bro. Talk about me, right? Now I don't know if they bloods and they wanna fight me because I'm wearing a blue Los Angeles jersey, or they just want my jersey. You know what I'm saying?
Either way.
Right.
Either.
Either way,
Man.
it wasn't good. So keep in mind, I'm probably like 2, 3 months out there, right? So I mean, I know. Luckily, I know a couple Crips, know a couple Bloods. So you know, they just again they like our accent, and they just want to be around us. So they hipping me with this lingo, that lingo. So I'm getting it from Bloods and Crips. You know,
Wow.
so that really hipping me what's going on. So because sleeper, I didn't know what that was, but talking to my homeboy West, who was in Blood, he saying that's another word for how we would say pop, another word for punch or knock you out. They call it a
Mm.
sleeper, right? So I said, all right, let me hop off this bus because they gonna try to do something. So my stop is way down the street, but it ain't nothing because I could just walk
Yeah.
it. I get out the bus, you know, I'll never forget, dog. I'm putting my CD in my pocket, my CD player in my pocket. I just happen to look down and I see a shadow of a fist, right? Like a dude, he trying to like hit me like that. And so he of course is big, fat ass missed. And when he went down like that, I just stole him. Bam! And I just jetted. I mean, I just, I was fast anyway, so now I knew there wasn't nobody catching me. So, I hit him with all my might. I probably knocked his
Mm,
ass out, but I hit him and I just ran, dog. And everybody they ran off the bus like behind me, but I was gone. I get to the
mm.
job. I get to the job and Merrick, remember Merrick?
Remember? Yeah,
Merrick.
yeah.
Now people don't know
He was Chicago, right? He was from Chicago.
exactly from
Gang
Chicago.
territory.
He was
Yep.
a GD,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I got was getting hip to that too. So I'm
Yep.
like Phoenix is like gangland for real.
It is, yo. And I can only imagine what it's like now. And then people
Mm,
always feel like they had to prove something because it was like in Phoenix and it wasn't LA or it wasn't. They always feel like they needed to go harder until they meet the real ones. Then they kind of like. But if you look like you any green, oh yeah, you fooled automatically.
yeah,
You know what I mean? We met people from the Bay Area. The Bay Area was putting us deep with the when we were the Bay, and they said that we would have been in the Bay. That's like the Bay colors. Like, you know what I'm saying? We like, oh, okay, well, we just like bathing Nate, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
um,
I mean, we
yeah,
were the only ones in the city at
and
the
yeah,
time with it.
because people was looking at it like, oh man, they look like fake Air Force Ones. They're like, nah, these ain't. They're like, what's that?
Well, the
What's
ones
bathing
in
Nate?
the ones in the know was, you know what I mean? The ones in the know knew. But
They
that's
did.
how fashion is, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
That's how fashion
yeah.
is. If you don't know, now I remember one cat. He was working at Church's Chicken. He called me over. You remember that song? What was it? Pimps all, pimping all over the world. Remember that?
Hmm,
And
hmm, hmm.
Cat Williams at the end, like, if you're wearing black socks with such and such, put your hand down. Remember that? That little
Oh
shit at the end.
man, I do
So he,
remember that.
so he goes, what are those? I go, these are babes. He go, put your hands down. I just laughed. I just laughed at him. Because I'm
Yo.
like, bro, I'm like, dog, these shoes is like your month check, bro. But all right, you can have that though.
Yo, yo. But the thing of it is that yo, it's like when people started getting hip to it, it was like when we already was off of it. It was like,
Right,
yo,
we was
we
off
was
it
like
already. But
next.
then, but they knew, but they remembered that we,
Yo,
we
wait a
were the
minute,
first ones in.
hold up, Jazz. You had the dunks that was like the Paris joints. Remember those? That are very rare nowadays. You had the Spider-Man dunks. You know what I'm saying? That you man, yeah, yo, we definitely had the exclusive gear, whether it would be me creating and you putting me on to some stuff, I'm putting you on to some stuff, or like I ain't had my wardrobe together when I came back from Baltimore, came from Baltimore to the same. So you was like, hey, yo, dog, that same Kobe jersey and all that other stuff. You would let me borrow that, you know what I'm saying, so I could be fly. A lot of, you know what I mean, it was just a good time out there, man, and so many stories with Maverick that we gonna share on another episode of the manifestations of the clothes that we wore. But man, it's just beautiful to be able to conversate about these stories and what we've learned, and we are still survivors, man, of what we've been through, and
Hold up,
you
Key.
know
Hold on,
what's up?
because you were saying something. I have to bring this up about,
Okay,
about
okay,
incidents with us with cops. Another incident. Remember
okay.
this coming from damn, what's Shorty name? Airhead Shorty. Um,
Wait a minute. Not
Carlisha,
Melissa, right?
Carlisha,
Carlisha.
coming from Carlisha house. It was like, man, like 2 o'clock in the morning, bro. And was
Oh my
remember
gosh.
we was yo, I don't know what was wrong with us. We just like boom, boom. Just-
Because we was mimicking Jim Jones catwalk.
right,
Boom!
right, right,
Goonies.
right. We just making all this noise. Boom, boom, boom. Look.
But we was doing the Griselda way before Griselda was doing the Griselda.
right,
Boom, 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 boom,
right,
boom. We was doing
right.
yo.
But dog, remember the cops came and they thought we was shooting?
Dude. That's the night that I lost my fronts and I lost my Nextel, man.
They thought we
You
was
know what I'm
shooting.
saying?
He's like, nah. We're like, we don't got no gun. But they ain't check us. They just said, oh, all right.
That's the thing. back in the day, and I think that was my second week or third week in Phoenix, and you was telling me, Keo, be cool with the cops out here. Be not be cool, but be calm when you're being. He said, all you gotta do. He was like, all you gotta do is be calm and tell them what it is, and they'll listen to you. And I was like, man, whatever, man. Because we used to the cops being aggressive. We used to the cops interrogating, telling you to hold. Man, they pulled up on us, and you told them what it was. Like, nah, we just did. Nah, it wasn't enough. They said, okay, and they got out of there.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't used to that. But then you and I, we was like, yo, what if they had backup? And that's when we ran back to the spot. We was like, yo, let's get out of here because I was like, yo, I got a warrant, dog. I can't afford to get looked up. He was like, all right, let's get, because Phoenix, it's like a long, these distances are very like, they're long, dog. But it was nothing for us because we love to walk. Um, and yeah, we did some things to take care of that as well. We had relocated some transportation that we were able to, you know what I mean, get to and fro to different places. Yeah, we was wilding, we was wilding, man. But I will say this too, to chime in on a different topic. I remember when we did face hard times, and I remember when it was a point where I remember one time there was no water for the whole city because of something was wrong with the pipeline. So, and then there was another moment where we was like, yo, when we was falling on hard times, we had to go into the stores, and I was already a thief, so I already knew how to take stuff. And man, I remember I was like, yo, look, we gotta eat. So I'm about to go in the store and get some ravioli. I'm about to go in the store and just, take stuff. And, we would do that to survive, man. And I, when I heard this Kodak Black song, when he said, you had to steal to eat, poverty. And I was like, wow, like if that wasn't me and Jazowski, when we fell on hard times, we had to steal to eat. It wasn't that we wanted to steal to steal. It was just like, I remember even stealing like steaks, slab of steaks, and put it in my dip and fries.
Oh,
And
fries was a spot.
it
I
was
was
like a Murray's a little bit.
I was telling Jason this not too long ago, dog. Yeah, it was some hard times, bro. I would have a fries bag, and I would go to in the back where they got the hot chicken, and I get the I, dog, say yo get. I mean, I'll fill it up, fill the bag up. I want legs, I want thighs, I want all of it. I want a 2 pound of the potato wedge fry. Yo, because you had the option to pay there or pay up front, register. But if you got a Kroger, I mean a fries bag in your hand, then they will just assume you paid for it.
It's paid
You
for
could just walk right out. And I used to do that a lot, bro.
it.
Like
Man, I remember my mother and my sister, they came to visit me, and that's when we were fell on hard times, and they came to visit me, and I wanted to give them some welcoming gifts. So they had an antique spot that was in
oh
the shopping center.
yeah,
Yep, remember that?
of
And I
course.
remember going there. They didn't have, yo. The reason why I was so much of a stone cold thief in my earlier days is because even when I got locked up, and then when I went to, my mother had to go with me sometimes because I was still a minor. These classes that they had gave us, it's like they taught us how to steal even more. So when I went to Phoenix, it was like Phoenix at the time when I was out there with you, it was like they were behind on a lot of stuff that wasn't like a fast paced city. So when I seen certain cuts that didn't have, surveillance, I was on it. So when my mother and my sisters came, I had said I gotta get something for them. So I kind of like replaced some antiques, and I put them in my dip, and I put them in my blue bag because I used to carry a blue bag with me all the time. And I gave them gifts that my mother had still until she passed. She still had. She was like a nice plate that had glass. It was like a mother holding a baby, and it was like an African pieces. And these pieces was like not like cheap at all, y'all. These pieces like were $395, $500, and here I am, Keo from Baltimore. Give me that. You
No,
know what I'm
I
saying?
remember the
Give me
first
that.
time we went in there, and everything was in a glass case, but you could touch it.
Yes. It's like, what? Give me that. Give me that. Y'all don't need that. Y'all ain't even having this as no. Give me that. And it's crazy because I've always wanted to see if that store was still open. That's one of the things when you went there recently with Letty. I was going to ask you, like, yo, is that antique spot still there? Because I know with the
It
hardships
was,
of
bro. It's still there.
what?
It's still there, bro.
Oh
Armadillos.
man,
Armadillos. That was the name of it.
wow! I
Yep.
gotta go there, dog. I gotta go there. I gotta just.
You gotta buy,
Now that
now you gotta buy something.
I do, I do. Now that my record is clear, now that I'm able, it's been clear since 2011. They threw the case out. I didn't know that, you know what I'm saying, until I was attempting to go to Australia, and then the lawyer that I knew, my family lawyer, William, shout out to William, he shared with me like, yeah, man, they threw this case out in 2011, so you're good, you're
You
clear. I
know
said,
what? I
what?
always wondered about that case. If third party, um, if he'd have never turned himself in, if that would have been his fate as well.
Because all you had to do, and because I don't know who I learned that from. I don't know whether when I met DMX, but DMX was telling me to do the time. You know what I mean? He was telling me when I met him in Spokane, he's like, yo, I know a girl that did the body. Might as well do your time. Do your time, dog. But I don't know who I learned it from. They was like, yo, if you run for about 4 to 5 years, it'll fall off. And when you think about that as a young man, you're like, man, I could run for 4 to 5 years, man. But
It's hard,
you
bro.
know, it is because you that stress of you when you do come back home, you gotta look, you can't be to your mother's spot because it looked like she's housing a convict. And I didn't understand that. I used to be mad at my cousins. I used to be mad at my mother because at certain hours they wouldn't want me to stay at their spot. But then as I got older, I was like, oh wow, had I would have stayed at the spot, I would be putting them in danger. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because I have warrants. I have multiple warrants. I have warrants in Phoenix. I have warrants in Baltimore. So, now I've learned, like, okay, wow. Because first I was like, well, my friends let me stay there. Well, your friends, they let you stay at their spot because, it's like the environment was different. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, so many lessons. But yeah, I think about that too. Had that would have had happened, for third party to actually shift that with it, because for some, um, it takes a lot of courage to still look at be in that situation and flee, and flip. To be honest with you, I probably would have went to California, if I was in your situation. But then again, it was close for me. Baltimore, Phoenix, right? When you're in Phoenix and something happens in Phoenix, if you're not necessarily in the right frame of mind about it, really laying low, and you go to Cali, they can take you right from Cali to extradite you to Phoenix, and you got to serve both of you. So, but for me, I knew how to lay low. I was still doing some stuff, but when I went to Spokane, I was completely chill. I didn't get into anything. And I said it to myself. I said, okay, this is a brand new start, dog. You already messed up Baltimore with your actions. You already messed up Phoenix with your actions. Now you're in this place, Doug. Just chill out. And I did that. I learned how to edit. Taught myself how to edit. Now, keep in mind, wait a minute. I did go into Office Depot and I did steal the editing software from Office Depot while I was in Spokane. But I said that's the only thing I'm gonna take. I said that's the only thing I'm gonna take until I'm able to finally get a job. And
But that was
by me
the
learn,
only thing you took. Baby, bing, right? um,
you know what? You know what, man?
you know what, bro? I remember when you went to Spokane, and I still remember this video. I don't know if you still got it on YouTube, but it was you and I want to say it was a white kid, and you guys are walking, and this guy has like it's like some kind of satanic shirt on.
It said, I don't want to say the words, man, but it said, yeah, is a cunt. It said, our father is a cunt. That's what it said.
Yeah.
But it said the other words. You know what I mean?
And a white boy is like, yo, take that shit off.
And he was a crip too. He was a crip. You know what I mean? They G checked him and yeah, man. And he stomped on his shirt and he rubbed it with his feet and he kicked it. And when he kicked it, it was like perfect. It aligned with where that person was at, and all the dust had went straight to him. And I said, was that God? Was that God like really just like a gray? it was the video was perfect, man. And that was the one that had introduced me to DMX. You know what I mean? Shout out to Tony and Cordell. They've connected me with DMX, Afro Man, no Twister. I did that on my own, but yeah, DMX, Afro Man, and it was somebody else. But that's
Lazy Bone.
yeah, and Lazy Bone and the Bone Thugs. Yep, thank you. Yep, yep. And I remember it, and that night was wild, man. But we got to I got to chime in on those stories when we have more time. We don't want to, give people so much within this hour because we don't know how this is going to run. You know what I mean? But anything you want to actually add to what we talked about? We got about 5 minutes on here. You can see the time.
Man,
But
I would just say, you know, all these stories that you guys heard today about cops and whatnot, um, there are some good cops out there. Just like, all cops aren't bad, all black people aren't criminals, all white people aren't racist, all Jewish people aren't tight with money, all Asians aren't good at math. All the stereotypes, that's just, a small fraction of people. But just love, man. Whoever, if they're different from you, then that's even better because you can learn something. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. What about
and well, to go along with what you just said, I always chime in with a brief story, and I'm gonna be quick. You know, about it's not a lot of it is some good police out there. Uh, I guess I'll chime in by sharing with the story about in 2015 when I went to um, D. Watkins' book signing for the B side. It said "Living and Dying While in America," and it talked about police brutality. It talked about a lot of things in this book. I recommend you guys to check it out. But I remember the next day from me getting the book, I had my lab coat on, and I had the B side in my. It was in September. I had the B side in my hand. I walk into Northeast Market, and I see these three police officers, and I remember approaching them because I had the book in my hand, and I don't know why. So I said, "Yo, how are you going to be on the what do you call it, the bench, or how are you going to be on the sidelines by posting this about this, but you're not taking any action in person to actually start the conversation as to why these individuals need to humanize us." So I don't know what it was, but I took the initiative. Maybe because I had on a lab coat. If I had on regular clothes, I probably wouldn't have spoke to him. But I remember approaching the three officers. Was like, "Hey, yo, y'all ever read this book before, man? Or y'all know about this book? My man D. Watkins, he wrote about this." And the two black officers, they walked away. The only officer that stood by was a white officer. He had these shades on that was like orange, but he put them up on the above his head to like give me respect to look at me in my eye. He said, "Man, to be honest with you, man, I don't even read." I said, "Well, this is more the reason why you should read this book, because this book, it talks about how you can engage the community, how it's other police officers that are not from our communities that look at the communities that they service like it's a war zone, but it's people here, it's people that live here, it's mothers instead." I said, "So this book would just give you a different insight on how to humanize the people who you're protecting and serving." And at this time, I'm already near the M&T, ATM. It's another exit. So I decided to exit. And as I exit, I seen the squad cars that they came in on parked out there. So I took the piece, and this is still posted on my Facebook and my Instagram. I took the picture with the book right here and the cars in the background. I took the picture because I said I'm gonna talk about this because this took a lot of courage for me to really be able to start a conversation with a police officer, which in our community we don't really even talk. You know what I mean? I guess that was my first time even talking to a police officer at that time. I talked to them on occasions of when it's events that I felt somewhat nervous but comfortable to share this. And as I'm doing that, they storm from behind me. And I'm like, dang, so is they coming at me now? But they stormed from behind me because they responded to a call to get back into that call. So they couldn't even get breakfast, right? and they leaving, and as they leaving, I cross the street to get out their way, and the white guy that had the cop that had the shades on, he looked at me from a distance and he gave me a head nod and he put his shades back on. So I said, "Yo, whether he may have read that book or not, the conversation was had."
Yeah.
You get
Have
what
you
I'm
heard
saying?
about the time I actually crashed into a cop car? Two cops in it.
No,
I'll
no,
tell you about
no.
that another time. Another
Wow,
another time. Yeah, that was
wow.
but
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but that's my takeaway with that. Like at least, like, and I know, like it's like, yo, but some conversations can be had, like, to it's no conversation to bring any life back. And I know that it's going to take a lot of healing in our communities in order for even some people to even want to have a conversation, because a lot of people went through a lot. You know what I mean? You and I included. But I got some other stories too that I will share. We'll share on the other joint of my other interactions after I started trying to, you know, um, I guess, uh, have a logical outlook on the situation, because I have listened to podcasts that had retired police officers that have done good for the community, done real estate, real estate investment. Jamal King, shout out to the 95 millionaire who I met in person, who works with ET, who was a retired police officer, that is a man of God, that dope guy, family guy, husband. And I was able to share that story with this other police officer who was from the community, who went to a tattoo spot that I was paranoid because the people outside the tattoo spot was smoking. I was like, yo, listen, and I was like, yo, they better chill, dog. Like, and he was like, nah, y'all. He said, I'm from this community. I know these guys. I ain't in it for all to just lock my homies up because they outside smoke. I mean, and that's before the laws was actually where they are now, where they have, kind of like. But yeah, man, I heard the flex bombs in the background.
no,
I think. You know what I'm saying? We forgot to put that. We forgot to use that on the joint, but
no,
we're
we
gonna use.
it wasn't called for at this moment.
Yeah, no, no.
Uh, but yeah, man, you know what I think would be a good solution is the cops need to um, live with a police.
Exactly, exactly. I agree. I agree. You know what I mean? And we all know that now. That if that's the case, then a lot of people would actually relocate because nobody wants to be in those communities where it's food deserts. Because they're like, okay, Dad, you mean to tell me that if I got to be in this community where I'm serving, that I got to drive a couple miles just to have or go to the grocery store? Yes.
Yeah,
So now you're able to uh, understand. Now, if you even just know that, you know what I mean, that if you pull over somebody that has groceries that is not in the community where they're from, but they look different, so you see them, you pull them over, and they're like, yeah, I just came out. They like, say for instance, like across Keyz neighborhood that's in Baltimore, or Owensville, so any one of those specific areas sells, and you feel like, what are they doing here? Like on some situations that you and I were in, but we were in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's just like, yo, you're able to. I don't know. It's so many things that you think that people would know, but they don't know because they only know from their perspective, how they have that viewpoint and how they have that lens in the world. And that's not just with them, it's for all of us. Um, but I would have never had thought that I would be inspired to take a real estate course by a retired police officer. You know what I mean? To try to get financial freedom, or obtain to get generational wealth. But that takes a lot of, it takes a lot. That's all I'm gonna say. You know what I mean? So whoever may be looking at this, just like how Jazz said, have an open heart, and in that, when we have an open heart, we're able to fully heal. And then we got to do what we got to do, because sometimes we don't want to look at no video because we know it might invoke rage. It might put us back into the situation that we went through. Um, but in the meantime, between time, still, have an open heart and have an open mind and just loving the ones that you're close to. And it's really no real solid answers because we're all navigating through this. But ultimately, just push through. Just push through, and make sure that you are just being in a good headspace to receive, and not being closed off to any about lean not to your own understanding. You get what I'm saying? And it's just a lot, man. What is that music playing in the background, dog? What you got playing? I can't even concentrate what I was saying, dog. Like, what is this, dog? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this, man? This guy, yo. So yeah, man, that concludes this episode. What's this? 29 of the Yeah Man Here podcast. And thank y'all for tapping in. This have went over than what I've expected, but it's all good, man. These are just natural conversations that we wanted to share with you guys, and just leave a comment. Uh, I hate to say it, like, share, subscribe. What's that?
Oh yeah, right. Click that notification bell. Matter of fact, oh bro, man. Okay, hold on. Let me just say this real quick.
All right.
Get up out of here. Yo, I'm so tired of seeing videos where the person going like this. And it's like it's saying some shit. 5 ways to stop eating at night or some bullshit. 10 ways to save more money. It's like, yo, shit is that corny.
But you gotta give it to them, man. They produce the content. They doing what works. Doing what works, man.
I hate it, though. I hate it, bro.
You know what I mean? They doing what works.
Yeah, but see, that's different. You're not going to point like tap the link below to get a discount. Like, yo.
Oh man,
that's why I've never said in the videos like share, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, turn on that.
Because people gonna do what they're gonna do. People they're gonna want to do that automatically.
You know what? But it actually makes sense because a lot of times when I'm watching a video, I don't even think about that until they say it. And it's like, oh yeah, let me hit like. I like what they were talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So nah, man. But
so if y'all like it, whatever, man, do it.
Yo, oh man, yo, I love it, man. But nah, yo, I appreciate our talks always, man, and we're looking to definitely give you guys more. Excited. This is our first one of the new year. We had the other one, but we had technical difficulties on my end. That's why I started sharing the 4 a.m. sessions, just to kind of like get warmed up on this connection to see if it worked. And right when I seen after 2 or 3 or 4 episodes that my connection was clear, and I was like, all right, we good now. So Jazz was like, all right, let me give you your time to figure it out. So thank you, Jazz, for your patience. Thank y'all for your patience as well. And yeah, man, we about to give y'all more episodes to come.
Peace.
Peace.